Hello, my name is Elizabeth Press, and I am founder of D3M Labs. And I am here today with Divya Bokaria.
Hello, I'm Divya, and I've been leading data teams in Berlin in the last 10 years across all the functions, AI, analytics, and engineering. And I've mostly worked in scale ups in Berlin.
And this conversation that we're having today is so important because there are a lot of data leaders out there who are in transition, who are adapting to the new economy and the new tools. And this is a conversation to really help them along that journey. So, what do you think makes a good data leader?
So I would focus on three different things. The first one is going to be business impact. So, as a data leader, you are the connective tissue between business, product, and technology. And your job is to understand what the business needs out of data, to understand the processes and tech as to where to derive this data and make products that are easy to use to bring the best value out of data for your company. And I think that's the core of everything. And how you do that is also important. So, one thing that I heavily believe in is the second point, which is data democratization, making sure that data is accessible throughout the company for everyone, and data is not hoarded just by data people. So for me, it's very important that data is a skill that everybody has, the same as being able to give presentations. Everybody should be able to use data for their benefit, be it in product, be it in a customer support team. So that's for me super important from a data leader perspective. And the third one is, of course, being the leader for the people. So making sure that you can translate your vision, what you want to drive, to the people in the company, which is everyone in the company also, because remember, you're driving the data culture, and also to your data teams. Having the right people to make all this tooling possible, having the right structures in place. This is, I think, super important to be the leader. Leadership of the people is something that everybody needs, also not just data leaders, but it's also important in data leaders.
And how does Gen AI change this paradigm of leadership for data leaders?
Currently, we are really at an inflection point, right? So with Gen AI, I recently heard Sundar Pichai quoting that we as a in the world are spending trillions of dollars on this technology. And recently, Lovable just raised Series B at 6.6 billion valuation. And remember, this is just a 2-year-old company. So everything that is happening in Gen AI is going to affect all companies in the world, just because how much money is going into it, and how fast is the pace because of all this. So what I do believe is that uh, a lot of what data leaders were doing, which is basically bringing out the business value or leading the people or the culture of the company through what is important in data and democratization, stays the same. The how, I think, is what has completely changed.
It's been a very painful transition for many data leaders. I think as data leaders, we were part of something very special in the past 10 years, really changing this complicated technology into value. But there has been a fundamental shift in the economy and the geopolitical situation, paired with this, as you said, inflection point that this monolithic data organization that we once had as data leaders has become smaller, that the processes have become different. Also, that this huge horizontal function that we used to manage has largely gone to the actual functions, like the engineering functions, the marketing functions, and a lot of this front end knowledge sits in the functions. I do see, however, that actual data engineering that stays.
Is AI, which was guarded, the models which were only supposed to be known by the geeky data people, is now become of interest for boardrooms, for CEOs, for everybody. Everybody wants to understand how to make use of it. But what has changed is that every company does not need to build these models anymore. And that's why anybody who wants to solve a business problem can try to figure out how to do it instead of only relying on the AI people. Hey, we have a problem. Will we be able to solve it or not? Because the reliance has now become more on the tools. And you are correct in saying that data engineering is still important because data is still gold. Data has shifted from structured to unstructured data with what we are seeing, but it is still very important that we feed in the right data and we understand the gaps in the models to be able to come out with the right AI agents, for example. So, and the third thing that you were mentioning was that teams have become more functional. I think we have been seeing this shift since data started becoming more important. I've been seeing this in the last 10 years always, that functions were becoming more stronger with data. And that's also how I led. Even for like analytical data, I would rather push it to functions, also the data teams to be also there in the functions, even if they are doing the jobs. Because there is just more context, and context is super important to be able to use data. Because the central teams are now becoming smaller, it is a challenge for some people. Skills that are not going to go out of fashion is data quality. That should stay with leaders of data to evangelize that, to make sure that there are foundations set up for that, for understanding model foundation. So basically everything around foundational gatekeeping governance stays with data leaders that they can evangelize throughout the company. So the what will be democratized has changed, and what should be governed has changed, but there is need for data leaders, I believe.
And as you said, that business value is very important. So data leaders are the shepherds of business value. And on that note, you've also been talking to me about how AI can add value to businesses. Can you take the listeners also through this framework that you have?
So yeah, when I said that the AI part has now become, instead of the CDO's job, the job of the CEOs, I think every CEO with the whole shift that we see in the last years need to think about, is the technology affecting their core business model? Is it their business itself that needs to change with what is coming on? Are they going to earn money in the next 2 years if they stay the way they are? Which could be if they are a company in education, because we know that education is shifting in as we speak, right? Or it could be about like re-engineering all the processes that they have. That's also a very big step. So you might be a company that only did, say, customer support, but now or supplied customer support tools to other people with GenAI. That means that your whole how you did that, the processes, how you did that would completely change. You need to integrate a different way of providing that. And the last level, which I think will be affected to every company, is tooling and workforce. So basically, you and I, we have started using Gemini or OpenAI instead of Google search, or we are always experimenting with efficiencies that we can get. We are trying to make our presentations on a different tool. This is something that all of us will need to learn, and every company needs to drive this change so that the workforce becomes more efficient.
I have my stock portfolio, and I've been strategizing my trades using Excel, using my Jupyter notebook and Python, and now with agents. And I think it's really interesting to see, if you understand how to build agents, the power that you have for insights and how you could get those insights is much different than when it was just like, with an Excel, and a lot less manual steps, actually. But I think what's really important is the concepts. And I think what hasn't changed is I still need a strategy. I still balance my portfolio. I still have a very macro strategy. How I go about implementing the analytical frameworks is very different across the different technologies. And I think that, as you said, the how is going to change, but the analytical questions, the business value, the understanding how you create value across the process, that is going to remain a constant.
Right? It has equipped all of us to work differently, to use tools that we would not have thought we would be using. That's super nice.
But I think that data leaders do have the superpower of understanding how you create value out of a complex technology, how you scope the business question and you really stay core to this scope. And, we're the shepherds of value throughout the entire chain of events that go from data creation to actual action. We've also lived through a lot of hype, a lot of highs, a lot of lows as data leaders. What could we improve going forward? I mean, what could we do better now?
So as data leaders, you also learn from all the hype in the past. So at least I'm learning from the internet boom as to what were the caveats there or not. And we know that when so much money goes into one technology, there's going to be a lot of people trying out things that would fail, right? So what I think we all should be learning is not to rush. Understand when do you need to really, for your business, build something, when do you need to buy, and when do you need to really just wait it out, because there's going to be enough money spent that somebody else is going to build it for you. So you should not waste your time on these are the questions that leaders, not just data leaders, but the uh, CEOs of the companies need to answer right now, because things are changing at a very fast pace. We all have FOMO, and we need to really step back, understand where do we need to act and where not.
Definitely, there needs to be a lot more strategy in terms of where you see your core value and where you're going to take risks. You don't need to take unnecessary technological risks where there is no value being added to your processes or to your product. And what advice do you have for juniors? Because there's a lot of people out there coming onto the market and, they want to be valuable, they want to be hired. So how could junior people position themselves to get a job?
Yeah, tough one. I think as we were talking, there were two themes that I could relate to. One is that there is way more value is going to be built more in the functions now, the data value also. So which means that even more than before, the juniors need to think from different angles. They need to bring out the value. They need to wear the product, the marketing hat, and not they need not always know the nitty-gritties of all algorithms, but they need to be still good at data. As you said, data engineering is still going to be very relevant, so they need to make sure that data is really at the heart of it. They need to make sure that there is a business problem at hand, and they need to be the critical thinkers to bring out the best from these agents, understand the weaknesses of these agents. Where will they hallucinate? Where are they not going to give the same results again, but it is required? Where is an agent needed versus a process needed? So these are the things that juniors need to understand and keep looking out for all the tools. I think one thing that juniors can do better than probably you and me is they are going to be more GenAI natives than us. So we need to unlearn a lot of things, but they can just start from this new tech.